evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another day, another show by BW Hotelier. Welcome to the third show of our newest series, the GM Show. This is the first show of the West. And the next 3 weeks, we will be hosting first, next week, the second show of the West, fourth overall. And we shall follow up with 2 shows down south before we head into the east, central, and then back to the north. In this series, we shall also have a focus show on the northeast and the central regions of India. And this time we shall also be heading out of the metros to bring in much visibility that we can afford them. Welcome again to this episode of the GM Show. The topic for the show today is about the mice that escaped. We all know what mice in our context is. And how do we fill up the gap? And when is a comeback likely? Very briefly, I must share a bit on the show. The show is every Thursday, 5 p.m. Please block your Thursdays and time. Each episode will have a different subject and be debated upon. The very best moderators and speakers from the industry will be on show. By the time we are done with the series, we would have brought to you over 150 of the finest moderators and speakers. The format, like I said, is region-based, north, south, east, west, central, northeast. The show will be relayed live on bwhotelier.com online and all our social media platforms. For post-showing, for the post-show screening, you can go back to our social media and our own website. For any queries that you may need to connect with us upon, please write to us at bwhotelier@businessworld.in. And also a word, if you're still not following our social media, go ahead and press the button now. Let's begin the show. This show is hosted by my good friend Atul Bhalla. He's the moderator for the show. Who doesn't know Atul? I shall come back and describe him more. He's the area manager for the West for ITC Hotels and the general manager for the ITC Maratha, Mumbai. On show with us are 6 other luminaries: Dietmar, Kielnhofer, the area vice president for Hyatt West of India, and the general manager for the Grand Hyatt in Mumbai. Hello.
Hello.
And Nikita Ramchandani, the general manager for the JW Marriott, Juhu. Hello, Nikita.
Hello, everyone.
And Ritesh Sharma, the general manager for the Taj, Santacruz in Mumbai. Hi, Ritesh.
Good evening, Mr. Khanna. Good evening, everyone.
Samir Sood, the general manager for the Leela in Mumbai. Who doesn't know the Leela? Hello, Samir.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Sharad Upadhyay, the general manager of the Holiday Inn Mumbai International Airport, a well-appointed property. Hello, Sharad.
Good afternoon, Mr. Khanna.
Yeah. Pankaj Saxena, again at the International Airport. He's the general manager for the Radisson Blu Mumbai International Airport.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, everybody. Getting back to Atul. Atul is, I've known Atul for a bit. Never easy to read about somebody who you're well connected with. Atul is a gregarious, enthusiastic, self-driven, and motivated hotelier with enriching experience of over 20 years. Doesn't give away his age. Profoundly passionate, professional, and a strong business acumen, and a driver of excellence and he is a people's person. Ever since February 2020, he's been responsible for growth and development of the Western region for ITC Hotels and is the area manager West at the ITC Hotels. And he also heads the ITC Maratha, where he is based out of. The West for ITC hotels includes the ITC Maratha, the ITC Grand Central, ITC Grand Goa, the Welcome Hotels Vadodara, the Welcome Hotels Rama, Welcome Hotels Jodhpur, Welcome Hotels Khimsar, and the yet to be opened ITC Narmada in Ahmedabad, and the Mementos by ITC Hotels in Udaipur. That's quite a portfolio. Additionally, Atul also heads the F&B function for the ITC hotels, which of course is the big one. Some of the most noteworthy achievements of Mr. Bhalla during his tenure with ITC hotels includes being an integral part of the pre-opening team for the ITC Royal Bengal, that twin property, amazing hotel if you've not been there. In Kolkata, the ITC Grand Chola Chennai, and two of ITC Hotel's biggest and grandest properties. Leading from the front, Atul has played an integral role in positioning and launching both these luxury hotels. Now, having said that about Atul, we should get on now and hand over the baton to Atul. Atul, this is your show. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna, for that introduction. And I'll start with a little bit about the show, what we're talking about, mice that escaped. There is no denying that the COVID-19 pandemic has sent the global economy into shock. Expectedly, as recent reports suggest, the economy has recovered significant losses in the last 5 months. Mega events like Dubai Expo, World Travel Mart in London give the proof of global meetings and conventions are coming back. So that's a good news in front of us. The dates also announced for certain big ones, the TFWA World Exhibition at Cannes, IMEX America in Vegas, IBTM in Barcelona, AIME in Melbourne. Things are finally looking up for the MICE sector, which has been in the doldrums for the nearly 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Research5.com has reported that the global MICE industry is anticipated to hit 1619.3 billion in 2021-2028 period, growing from 1007 billion in 2020, representing a healthy 5.9% growth year on year. All events have one thing in common. They hope to bank on the FOMO, that is fear of missing out effect. Despite the ongoing worries about vaccines and the Delta variant of COVID-19, there are multiple ways of keep social mass gathering secure for everyone. While additional initiatives and safety hygiene protocols translate into higher costs based for arenas and event managers, they would facilitate towards a step-by-step comeback of the MICE industry. The regathering of tourism industry is in full swing, and it is also clear that the places where safety can be guaranteed and not overcrowded and the safety is on show will be the first to experience a post-pandemic travel boom. So having said that, I will introduce my panel of stalwarts of the industry based at the financial capital of India, that is Mumbai. Mr. Dietmar Kielnhofer, he joined Hyatt India in July 21 as the area vice president of Hyatt West and general manager Grand Hyatt Mumbai Hotel and Residence. With over 4 decades of experience, Mr. Kielnhofer is truly a veteran in the hospitality industry, a career that has seen Mr. Kielnhofer circle 3 continents, work in major and exuberant cities such as Tokyo, London, Sun City, South Africa, Istanbul, Bangkok, Vienna, Mallorca, Zermatt, Lugano, and more in various roles. He can surely be defined as a globetrotter. His last assignment was Mumbai, where he was general manager of JW Marriott, Mumbai Sahar. So welcome, Dietmar.
Thank you, Atul.
Nikita Ramchandani, general manager, JW Marriott, Mumbai, Juhu. Nikita heads the flagship property of JW Marriott in India, JW Marriott Juhu. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, her astute business and leadership skills have seen her take strides over her career graph with different challenges and roles across the hospitality landscape. Prior to her current role, she has led the operations discipline as the Senior Area Director of Operations, where she was responsible for setting the roadmap of new openings, talent development, guest experiences, and F&B growth. As a seasoned hotelier, Nikita holds immense expertise across all departments, and her leadership skills have time and again proved to be an asset. Welcome, Nikita.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you very much.
Ritesh Sharma, General Manager, Taj Santacruz, Mumbai. Ritesh Sharma started his career with IHCL about 2 decades ago in the front office department at Taj Coromandel, Chennai. Before taking charge at the Taj Santacruz, Mumbai as GM, he has held the position of GM of Taj Falaknuma Palace, Hyderabad. Ritesh holds a degree in hotel management for SRM Institute of Hotel Management, Chennai, and undertook the executive management program from SP Jain Institute of Management. He also attained the Six Sigma Black Belt certification from the Indian Statistical Institute. Welcome, Ritesh.
Thank you so much, Atul. Thank you very much.
Samir Sood, General Manager of the Leela, Mumbai, an experienced GM with a demonstrated history of working in the hospitality industry. Samir oversees the overall operation and management of the flagship hotel of the Leela Group, that is the Leela Mumbai. Samir enjoys group holding various positions and has ably led teams with Leela properties in Mumbai, Goa, and Bangalore. He started his career in hospitality with Leela Group as a part of the prestigious Leela Management Training Program. He is skilled in catering, budgeting, food and beverage, operations management, and hotel management. Welcome, Samir.
Thank you, Atul.
Pankaj Saxena, General Manager, Radisson Blu Mumbai International Airport. With more than 2 decades of hospitality experience, Pankaj handled pre-opening phase of the Radisson Blu Mumbai International Airport, and currently he is heading the property as GM. In his previous role, he was the GM at Radisson Blu Pune Hinjpadi. During 2011-12, he has served the executive committee as Vice President, Hotels and Restaurant Association of Andhra Pradesh, India, affiliated with FHRI. Pankaj has previously worked at Radisson Varanasi, Sarovar Hotels, and ITC Hotels.
Thank you, Atul.
Welcome, Pankaj.
Thank you.
Sharad K. Upadhyay, General Manager, Holiday Inn Mumbai International Airport. Sharad began his career with IHG Group in the year 2010 and has worked with leading hospitality brands in China, Nepal, India, and Thailand over his tenure with the parent brand. He has over 20 years of experience across broad spectrum of hospitality functions and having specialization in hotel operations. Sharad has an extensive array of proficiency and deep understanding of operational knowledge, especially in pre-opening setups and managing the financial sustainability of hotels. His impeccable attention to detail and hardworking nature has led him to being awarded with the Outstanding Leadership Award in 2017 and Leadership Recognition Award in 2018 by IHG Group. Welcome, Sharad.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you.
All right, so let's start the discussion onto that. So my first question is to you, Ritesh. See, MICE business not only gives us a boost to the economy in the form of income generation, but also it's a job creator. Perhaps the biggest spending category in any hotel's revenue stacking. MICE has been missing for 2 years now. How badly are you missing this revenue shortfall? Over to you, Ritesh.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here as part of this August panel. The answer is very obvious here, and that's what we're talking about today. We have missed this segment very dearly. For us at Taj Santacruz, with the largest rooms in the city and proximity with the exhibition centers and the business district, we generated 30% of our revenues in the year 1920 from this segment. We have missed it over last 2 years. During the pandemic, we've taken a lot of initiative with keeping in contact with our guests, learning the new requirements for customized smaller events with the flexibility in booking terms and overall evolving requirements for safety protocols. We've strengthened our standard operating procedures with Tajness re-strengthened and giving all the confidence to our guests to ensure that we're able to deliver on those requirements. We've taken a lot of initiatives to work around the missing of mice. We've launched a lot of new initiatives called 4D urban getaways to encourage our guests to see India, travel domestically, and also develop hybrid models and virtual conferences with our human food app. And our focus on weddings overall with our timeless weddings helped us fill this business gap. We're very encouraged now. We're seeing a lot of demand coming back for mice. It may not be in terms of volumes because of restrictions, but in terms of queries and the number of mice meetings, we're seeing a lot of demand over the last 2 months, and also for future months coming back. With opening of offices, with ease in travel requirements, restrictions getting eased out across states, we feel that the mice segment would come back with great demand now. And with mice potential customers wanting to discover their own country now within India, we feel it's a great opportunity for all of us with adversity now.
Thank you, Ritesh. Indeed, 30 to 40% range, that's the range of the MICE revenue with most of the hotels. So obviously, all of us really missed it. Now, there are some green shoots in this part of the business. So hopefully things will become better soon. So Nikita, coming to you, within MICE, exhibitions are an annual feature which provides surety and predictability in the business for any hotel. In the horizon, do you see any silver lining which signals its return, and when?
Yeah, thank you, Atul. Thank you for that question. And just to kind of add to what you and Ritesh mentioned, right? Catering has always, in our catering business, exhibitions and MICE have been so significant to our revenue streams. And this past year and a half has been most unpredictable. But with that said, with the resurgence of travel, with the kind of numbers we see coming out of aviation and ease of restrictions, there is most certainly a silver lining here. We are very optimistic as we see normalcy returning in our environment. We've seen an uptake in most of our hotels in terms of leisure business, a lot of retail travel, the pent-up demand, and I see the exhibition business no differently. Certainly, the large format events will take its course. Personal safety is a huge one for that. But I think the real hope and beacon that we now see is, as you alluded earlier, with the Dubai Expo, right? We see international events opening, and even closer to home, it was predominantly social events that we saw all of last year. And we're seeing a shift there as well, right? As corporate India now goes back to work from office. So net, most certainly. I think the other reality also is that the hybrid model is here to stay. And I think all of us have done a fair amount of investment into technology, and that will also be with us in the future and times to come. But yes, if I was to summarize, we feel very optimistic. I think all signs around us with what we're seeing within the industry give us a lot of hope. And net, I think as a community, we do need that personal contact. And we are very resilient. So I would like to think that better times are yet to come, and all signals indicate towards that.
Yeah, that's absolutely, and I really like that comment of yours on the hybrid model. And the year back, the buzzword was work from home.
Absolutely.
Now the buzzword is work from office.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I think we've all learned to be very agile in the way we do our business now. We're so much more flexible, and I think that's just something that's going to be part of our new normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So next, Sharad, coming to you. MICE per se is not complete without an I. For incentives are a huge driver for any corporate which accounts for destination programs. Corporates and their business derailed. What about the I in the MICE for you?
Thank you, Atul. Thank you for that question. And I think a very important topic. Thank you, Bhuvanesh and BW Hotelia. MICE, I think historically has been obviously one of the big segments in our market segments, depending upon who you are, 20 to 40% of your revenue is driven by this segment. But now post-COVID, I think it's become one that's going to put the ramp up speed much faster if we're able to capitalize this in any form. If you look at the data that's available through ICCA, about 10% of the global big ticket events did take place worldwide. 33% were virtual, 2% were hybrid, and about 44% they kept postponing this to the next quarter and next, and I think probably that will happen sometime in 2022. So meetings, events, and the conventions are happening, and we've seen the Gulf Food that happened in July, Dubai Expo that Bhuvanesh we were talking about yesterday, a phenomenal success. And Atul, you did mention about some big ticket events lined up for rest of the world, including the IBTM in Barcelona. So I think the world is waking up, and I think the events are happening. The I part, which is slightly different, I think it's so constrained with the allocation the corporates would have. And I think on the statement that the business being derailed, I would just rephrase that. I think not all is, I think, lost. And I'm just going through which are the areas which have actually done well during the pandemic. I've seen the automobile, logistics, FMCG, pharma, e-commerce, including the stock market. Some of the portfolio returns that I have seen is as high as 50 to 60%. So there has been some pockets of success even during the pandemic. And a company like Maersk paid out the highest bonus last year in 2020. So it's just a matter of time. I think I would like to look at the glass half full. The incentives are trickling in. I would not like to mention the hotel and the company, but about 250 people are flying into Mumbai early next month in December, spending 3 nights in one of the 5-star hotels here. And it's an incentive tour. If you look at the hotels in Goa, Choco Block, you would probably not find a room until end of maybe Jan, Feb, March. So I think incentive is bound to come back very quickly. We've already started seeing that trickling in. Very, very hopeful that it becomes soon for all of us. Thank you, Atul.
Thank you. And that's very, very optimistic. And definitely what you mentioned about there are certain industries and certain companies which really did well during this pandemic. Actually, the whole set of new companies came up during this time, and obviously they've done extremely well. So there has been a gain, and of course it is there. So absolutely very valid point. Dietmar, this one is for you. So your hotel, Grand Hyatt Mumbai, has been a major MICE player, and consequently you have been hit the hardest. So you must have done a lot of planning with all the green shoots coming in and now. So what's your comeback plan?
Thank you, Atul. First of all, I'm not sure the word "Is MICE Missing" is the correct title for this show. I tend to disagree here, and I'll tell you why. I think over the last 16 months, 18 months, there has been a major shift in the industry, respectively, in the segmentation. I think the key to success in this environment is agility and adaptability. And if there's one thing the hospitality industry is famous for, is we are very resilient and we don't really operate in a vacuum. We don't reinvent the wheel. We just have to adapt and be a lot more flexible. It is a fact that MICE has been a very important component in the Grand Hyatt in Mumbai. And let's be honest, I think it will take at least another 2 years before we see a return to 2019 levels. We all have been spoiled by 2018, 2019. And what transpired last year and 2021 was unknown to all of us. So it comes down to adapting to the changing circumstances. MICE in the Grand Hyatt has been traditionally in the 20–22% range, plus minus. Now we see a lot of pent-up demand, and I think Ritesh mentioned it earlier as well. There is an enormous amount of pent-up demand, and we start capitalizing on this now. So we go from 22% to now 28 to 30%. And we see this segment growing in the next 6 to 8 months based on the bookings and on the inquiries we have. But what we have also noticed, and this is where we changed gears, is we have concentrated on the wedding sector much more aggressively than we have done in the past. And the wedding consumers are looking for experiences. It's a very high-end touch point. It's a high-end engagement segment that requires a lot of attention to detail. So what we have done, we have built a dedicated wedding studio. We hired a dedicated wedding director who pursues this market very, very diligently. And this is where we see some traction as well. So in a nutshell, MICE is not disappearing. It's just the dynamics have changed and will continue to change. And all we have to do is adapt and go with the flow.
No, thank you very much for your inputs on the agility, the resilience, and obviously on adapting to the new business environment. Some things will come back, some things will never come back. Some things are here to stay. So obviously we are entering absolutely a new world. It's not going to be if you think that everything is going to come back to normal of 2019, that's not going to happen. It's going to be something different, something new. So we need to adopt. So that very aptly said. Thank you. Pankaj, coming to you, the Mumbai, the financial capital of world's third biggest economy, has one of the richest opportunity to pipe into the BFSI sector. Do you have any particular plans to tap into this lucrative opportunity, and how?
Thank you, Atul, and thank you for this question. Well, that's a big question, and let me take you all to Mumbai a little bit before we get on to the real answers there. I think Mumbai, called it a financial capital, and especially, yes, I think it's important for us to know that the biggest headquarters of financial segment or insurance segment, whether RBI or HDFC or Axis Bank and so on, all are headquartered in Mumbai. So this segment will always remain dear and near to Mumbai. We should also remember that Mumbai tops in the 10 biggest centers of commerce in the financial streams. I think that will always claim to the strongest city in terms of it wins us back to economy for sure. Mumbai, as commercial capital, the combination of doing business with the sector is immensely diversified across different hotels. I think this segment, it caters to almost all 15,000 odd rooms in the city for sure. I think the biggest chapter in Mumbai, in terms of if you have to categorize A, B, C, D, I think the biggest is of ease of business, tapping to this BSFI sector. A few initiatives, if you ask me what probably we are thinking and taking on right now, is about long-term contracting. I think this has always been a need of the sector. I think its time is coming that we do that and we give them that levy, which can give them a meaningful reason for being attached to financial capital. I think as everybody said on the panel, creating the occasions, meaningful occasions, unconventional, both for the day visitors and residential guests, I think it's a need of the hour for sure. We also felt creating like a golden triangle, creating like commercial triangles for the segment, because we need to also understand that every segment operates in a different triangle of city of business. If we give them benefit in a brand and in our hotels across the nation or even out of India as well, where they see a business opportunity, I think that will always remain for them interesting, because that will supplement them in sustaining the business model in the city and across as well. We are seeing them early shoots as well. Also, what we thought and we are bringing to the table is Emma. We will soon replace Opera worldwide in all our theaters, whether it's US, Middle East, Africa, or Asia Pacific. This is something which is going to be technology driven. It'll give you a lot of ease of travel in terms of billing, the booking. Everything is into hospitality will be contactless for us very, very soon. I think this will give a very ease of comfort of the sector taking it on. As Nikita said about working and working from office, I think it's a new normal which we are seeing all across. We are also looking at giving this segment a combination of wellness and well-being. I think if we give that comfort zone of happiness and happy minds, people do travel outside and people do travel in happy conferences. I think that's very, very important for us. We're also looking at subleasing spaces to the segmentations. I think that's a new fundamental way we can have long-term associations with these segment and move on with them. I think that's something which is done by many hotels now. I think to summarize, to keep the segment on, everything we do, I think it'll be momentous and all the moments will matter to every single traveler coming to the hotels. That's what I think to BSFI segment to Mumbai. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pankaj. Yeah, the BFSI segment is anyway, this segment has done extremely well in terms of, if you see the way the markets are behaving at this point of time, the way it's going, and the kind of money which has come into the banking sector in last couple of years. So of course there is this huge opportunity lies here, and I'm sure this really going to fuel some kind of a demand coming in from there. Samir, coming to you, at a point in time, the Leela Mumbai was the destination of MICE, with changing times and the fierce competition in your catchment. How and what strategies have you put in place to retain your segment revenue and share?
Okay, thanks, Atul. Just a correction there that it still remains to be a MICE destination for sure. So it wasn't, it still remains to be so. Everybody spoke about, the adaptability of the hotels, what we did. So, let me digress a little bit and make it a little bit more, elaborative what we all did. The last 2 years, I think the hotels have adapted so well to the need of the business that I think no other industry would have done what we have done. We spoke about hybrid models. When the MICE wasn't there, earlier the numbers were limited. Earlier there was no MICE, there were no weddings. Then the numbers were limited, the numbers went up, the laws for different states were different. They were changing every now and then. So, there's a lot the hotels had to adapt up to. Now, coming back to what we have done, initially when there was no MICE, I think most of the hotels, especially in city hotels and more so for Mumbai, we depended on staycations. There were pharmaceutical companies who were getting in the business. There were shipping companies. I think Sharad spoke about it a bit. So this was the business we were depending on, and it was the buyer's market. So we adapted to that and we made changes, hygiene factors, all incorporated. Now coming back to how you retain this segment and how do you retain your market share? For me, the market share for MICE has been about 20 to 22%. It remains so. What has happened is that earlier, when the numbers were only 50 numbers you could take for weddings or any other events you were doing, you had to make those adjustments because there were hygiene factors you had to take care of. So we adapted to that, and we could break up the ballroom into 5 different parts. So it helped because you can still have social distancing and do the events. Slowly the numbers went up to 100. So you adapt to that and you start working with that. We have engaged with the pharmaceutical companies, the associations, the wedding planners. This helped us while we were engaging with them all this time. When the business started coming back slowly, they were the first ones to reach out to us whenever the needs came. And the second thing which we did is that there were a lot of events which were booked with us pre-pandemic. Now, as soon as the pandemic hit, initially nobody knew how long it was going to go on. So as people realized that's a long haul, these events started getting cancelled. And I'm sure it was the same for everybody else also. So at that time, we were very flexible and we gave them an option. Either you can come back and work with us again when the pandemic is over, or you can take your advance back and we'll be more than willing to do this even, depending on how many numbers at that time we can take. And we have started reaching out to all these companies, the associations, event managers, and believe me, quite a few of them are coming back to us now and they want to do these events. So that has helped. So these are few of the strategies we have worked on to bring the business back. It's worked well for us. I'm sure most of the people here from the different, from Mumbai will agree that November has looked good, at least for wedding segment, and so is December. December is looking good. So there is a silver lining. I think the worst is behind us. So, I'm very confident we'll be able to retain a market share in terms of, in terms of revenue and the numbers as well. And I'm sure all of you agree with me that things are going to only get better. Thank you.
All right, great. So Atul, let me bring in one question for you. In fact, I'm going to bring in 2. Between the two, we'll have a small commercial break. Uh, Mumbai, I mean, we've all spoken about MICE, so it looks pretty promising, and BFSI in the works. Mumbai has been India's MICE destination for a while. Yes, in Delhi has its Pragati Maidan, and Bangalore has Manyata, but Mumbai per se has been very strong. Are we ready for this tag 1, 2, with world-class facilities, for instance, the upcoming Geo facility in BKC or the existing facility in Goregaon and the Mesco? There is good reason to believe that hotels will hugely benefit from the travelers who will arrive. What's your view?
Mumbai, this is the busiest city in India, and being the financial capital for the country has something for everyone. So this possesses the world-class infrastructure, which is either existing or being built at this point of time. So whether we're talking about the airport, which handles around 80 million passengers annually, so that means it is a hub, then there's a flight every 45 seconds, or upcoming international airport at Navi Mumbai, which will again come up in a few years' time. Metro rail network, which is progress. We can see the entire city dug up at this point of time, but that's for future. Coastal road project for Sea Lake, or the international state express highways, which are coming up all around, connecting with each and different cities. So that again helps us. 15,000 plus branded inventory available. Then the many more new properties coming up. Large convention center like Bombay Exhibition Center, MMRDA grounds for exhibitions, or NEC Worli, NSCI at Nariman Point, or the new one, the Geo Convention Center, which is a state-of-the-art facility, and which will compete with any world-class city for a large MICE convention or an exhibition coming up there. So, and this city also boasts of such so much of human resources and the skilled labor which is required for this segment. So the kind of jobs will get created in this segment because of that, and which is available in the city. The talent is available here. So Mumbai definitely has the potential for earning the tag for being a MICE destination in the world and compete. And we are, if you compare ourselves compared to the world, we are a very minuscule 1% of the MICE share around the world. Even if you make it at 2%, and that's what the government's idea is, that if we can reach by 2025 by 2% of world's MICE share, that's going to be huge. And that's where cities like Mumbai will definitely contribute towards that.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's very encouraging. You know what? For one of our shows, I wanted to get a general manager in, prominent general manager in from Mumbai. He said, "Boss, I have no time to go home, no time to eat, no time for meetings. I'm under so much of pressure. The kind of business that we are getting now, we never thought we would. So we have our hands full." So this was so encouraging. I said, "Listen, buddy, get on with it. You can come into our next show." You know, so this is going to be our next show, which will be the next Thursday, be moderated by Taljinder from the Taj. We have Nicholas Dumbbell, Bhagwan Balani, Vikas Kapai, Sharad Datta, Randhir Tamar, and Ravi Ramachandran. This is about lifting, ARR and ADR. Occupancy is a no-brainer. It's the pricing, mate. So be there, look out for this show. We'll, like I said, every Thursday, new show, new debate. Thank you. I have one more, Atul. This one goes to you, Nikita and Dietmar. So this is going to be a big one. The ITC Maratha, Grand Hyatt, and the JW Marriott Juhu aren't they too exclusive and expensive for less than the richest corporates to afford for MICE? That is both a challenge and an opportunity. If that is true, how do you tackle it? We have 3 minutes for all three of you to answer.
Okay, I'll go first, or
yeah, well, between you.
All right. So it's an opportunity if you had the right customer paying fair price. And it's a challenge if the timing of a low-paying customer does not match with the need of the hotel. So eventually boils down to the market demand, your business on books and the overall revenue that a piece of business brings in and its relevant impact on top line, flow through and the market share. So promise of elevated experience or on both stay and F&B comes with a price tag. We carefully evaluate our options and strike the deal accordingly.
Let me jump in there then. I think just to further add on, I think, of course, all our hotels are significant landmarks in their own way. But I think it's fairly untrue to say that it's only for the richest corporates. I reckon with the right strategy, of course, location is paramount, especially in a location city like Mumbai. The services you offer, the offerings, be it food and beverage, and most importantly, the banqueting space, right, that your customer is seeking. So I do think, as long as you come across one most competitive offer, most definitely we're all in the reckoning. Absolutely. And we cater across all corporates, right, across all verticals.
I can only echo the sentiment of Atul and Nikita. I look at it a little bit differently. I look at it at the price-value equation. I think when it comes to value service provided for the money you paid for, the offer you get in India and in Mumbai in particular is absolutely unique. I just came back from Europe last week, and when I look at the money you pay for what you get in return, the equation isn't working out anymore. So with the quality of service and the brands and the facilities we have in Mumbai, I think there's no better place than to be in Mumbai right now. So the concept that five-star hotel is expensive, I have to deny that, because that's clearly not the case. I think what we do is we provide an exceptional level of high levels of personalization.
How can India be made the world-class MICE destination? If we were to compare ourselves with the Far East, Middle East, Europe, or developed world, we are just about a pie in the sky.
I feel this is a very important aspect for all of us as part of travel and tourism industry in India. And there's a lot of chatter around it, that how can India be in reckoning for top MICE destination in the world. As we all aware, we receive a very less percentage of foreign travelers in India. And so is the case for our MICE movements compared to any other destination in the world. Brand India, like you said, Atul, earlier, Mumbai has the potential to be a top MICE destination, and so is India. I think Brand India has all the ingredients to be a great MICE destinations in the world. There's a lot of progress has been made in this direction over past many years. India has been recognized as the top economy and the fastest growing economy in the world. And I think that just sets the tone. Many states in India are developing large format convention and exhibition centers across the country. The air connectivity, the large airports, the air connectivity to the country and within the country is improving tremendously, and I think exponentially. The ease of visa requirements and procedures, that's being eased out over so many years. Improvement of road networks. Also, I think with this COVID period, India's reputation has really gone up with how we've handled the overall pandemic and our vaccination drive with such a large population. So all this is in the right direction. I think going ahead, public-private partnership is something that is required to promote India as a MICE destination. As IHCL, as all of you know, we have multiple hotels in the gateway cities. And we've also opened large convention hotels in the city of Goa, Agra. We have one coming up in Kolkata next month. We've also opening hotels in the undiscovered destinations. This is in line with our legacy of IHCL. Hotels which have come up in Rishikesh. We're building hotels in northeastern states of the country. So all this is very important for India to be a MICE destination. So we're doing our part, and over the years, as hoteliers, we've seen some great events happening in India. All of us know of the Aero Show in Bangalore. All of us know of the Defense Expo that happens every 2 years in Delhi always, and it also moved to Goa recently. So these are some of these anchor events which sets the right reputation. I think we need many more such events in the country to set the right reputation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ritesh. So you're absolutely right. Even the government is doing their bit, and they have a very clear resolve that MICE infrastructure in the country needs to improve. Overall connectivity needs to improve, and the kind of new present airports getting renovated and going into a private hands. And secondly, the new airports. Yesterday, there was a news on the airport at Noida. That's new airport which is coming up. So that's a great news. So, the travel reduces and the kind of flights which can come in, and the traffic reduces. So that's what's happening. And plus the kind of convention centers coming up, the kind of hotels coming, all large format hotels coming up. Even if you see from ITC stable, we launched ITC Grand Chola, which is a very large format convention place, ITC Royal Bengal. And behind that in Calcutta, in the ITC Royal Bengal, there's a big convention center, exhibition center coming up, which is due to getting inaugurated in a couple of months. So there's a huge amount of infrastructure development happening, and I'm sure that's really going to help us out. Nikita, coming to you, while Marriott has a lot of assets in Mumbai, there are quite a few hotels, you also have 2 JW Marriotts, both are big on MICE. So there are 3 quick questions on that.
Yeah.
How do you both view for some projects which could go either way? Do you guys discuss projects between you both and go for them? Or there is no conflict of interest when it comes to MICE business?
All right, so I'll try to be quick. So I think as an organization, we see scale as a strength, right? So if we have 2 JW Marriotts in Mumbai, we see that as a huge strength. But at the end of the day, depending on where the business goes, the buck stops with the guest, right? What are their requirements? The hotel that ticks all the boxes is where the business would go. And needless to say, to run an organization like this, you have to have a lot of processes in place. We definitely have a very, very competent team with our national sales organization that kind of supports us go through our leads, how we funnel these leads. And at the end of the day, both hotels have a very unique competitive advantage, right? And then the customer is the person who would actually choose where they'd want to go with that. This is a tried and tested formula with us, as we do so across so many markets, and it works very well. Just to touch on your second point, yes, absolutely work in an environment of complete transparency, because that is definitely the most effective way to go. It's important our customers are able to communicate with us and feel comfortable, sharing what their requirements are. And it's a very synergistic relationship, right? We speak to each other all the time. We share a lot of common guests, and that works to our advantage. I won't say there's zero conflict. We're obviously a fairly competitive bunch, but I think it's all good competition. Besides, our hotels are very unique in their personalities as well. And again, like I mentioned earlier, in Mumbai, location is a very, very important decision-making factor. Our banqueting capacities are very different. The sheer personality of the hotels are so different. Our room capacities are different, and catering offerings. So whilst we're 2 JW Marriotts in the same city, I think we have such distinct personalities that we make it work to our advantage. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Atul.
Okay, Sharad, the biggest challenge of a hotelier is about the domestic MICE relocating to overseas market. How does one reverse that, and what are the steps you would recommend and how? Another view is scaling up the size and frequency of various MICE programs and concentrated in an orchestrated manner to be a real revenue booster. How would you plan and drive and handle that?
Thank you, Atul. When you talked about how do we prevent the MICE drifting away to international borders and how do we retain them in domestic front, reminded me of the OTA analogy. It's kind of a, you try very hard to drive your book direct, but you're also concerned about, what the competition is getting and how do you minimize the damage to yourself. So I think there will be never a position where we would be probably be able to bring down to negligible levels the amount of travel that would happen outbounds, because there are multiple factors attached to outbound travel. It's a factor of newness, it's foreign travel, it's the entire experience of going to the airport to a new destination, plus shopping and multiple other factors. Having said that, I think what's overwhelming is next 5 to 7 years from now, we're going to, as per the current trends, we're going to spend about 1.5 billion US dollars on international MICE travel. That's a huge amount of money that's flowing out of India. And next maybe 12 to 18 debatable months, we could probably be rest assured that the international skies are not going to open so much. So we have a little bit of a cushioning time, to cater to the MICE demand locally, and it doesn't go outwards. Having said that, what's really going to help us to retain and also attract international MICE into India is the infrastructure enhancement. Atul, you took it up. We've got some phenomenal work that has already happened. The Bombay Exhibition Center, Maratha in Bangalore, the game changer that's open now, the Juhu World Center. It's going to change the complete landscape of the MICE, and it's really going to position India as one of the dominant players in the MICE, global MICE. I think we're doing that, and it's work in progress. And like you were saying, there's something else coming up behind your hotel in Calcutta. That's really good. We should utilize the next 10 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months, I think, to form a collaboration amongst the industries. I think we've been very, very isolated in pockets when it comes to driving business into our hotels or into our cities or into our country, for that matter. So who are the dominant players here? These are the associations, the people who actually need that MICE activity. It could be a corporate, but more largely, I think associations like you have Jensen Jewelry that will be happening in a few weeks time from now, the Builders Association, you have the doctors, you have the medical equipment suppliers and things like that. And we need to collaborate with these kind of associations. Our collaboration with the DMCs, I think, would become much better. How do we communicate with them, and how do we maintain that relationship at a very high level so that there's some kind of synergy between them and us? The local authorities need to wake up and smell the coffee as well. The licensing, the ease of doing business, the permissions that you need. I think they be educated and made aware why it's important for the entire locality, and how does MICE basically backward and front integrates multiple supply chain, and how everyone benefits out of it. And the hotels obviously play a very, very dominant role here. And the fifth factor is the airlines and the travel industry, the entire plethora of activities that is in that supply chain. So first of all, we need to form a very, very strong collaboration and go out as one. The second thing is we do in bits and pieces, like Kerala and Gujarat have done a very, very strong brand positioning of their states. If all of us could do that and define what else is there apart from hotels and expo centers in our locality, that would really drive the message very well, and you become a preferred MICE destination. Then the fourth point that I would talk about is, the world is becoming very, very digital, and how are we communicating to our target market? Are we targeting the right market? Are we using the right channels? Do we have the right experts doing this for us? I think hotels, we depend on a lot of experts at a very high level. Who is doing that for us? Who is doing that for Maharashtra? Who is doing that for Greater Noida, for that matter? I think we can up the game in that front. And if we're able to synergize these factors, in my opinion, Atul, I feel we will be able to retain quite a lot of domestic, as well as gather the attention of the international MICE seekers. Coming to your second one, question on increasing the size and frequency, and I'll just copy paste what you just said. India as a country gets only about 1% of the global MICE business. That was about 916 million US 2019. By 2030, this is going to be about 2 billion. Right, and you talked about the government proposing some plans to take that 2%. I think it's really an overwhelming number when you look at it. And if we're able to shift the game from 1% to 2%, a lot is going to come in. And
Sure.
what's missing, Atul, in my opinion, is I think as a government's policy, you have in Thailand, you have in Singapore, you have in Hong Kong. There is a very structured approach in gathering the international MICE into your country. There are dedicated departments who gather the data, who talk about policies, who integrate the various factors within their system, so that you promote your country.
Okay, so this is a quick one to you, Dietmar. The person strong in BKC, the centrally located Grand Hyatt Mumbai, has a hook to capture low-hanging opportunity, including MICE. So obviously, how big has been the MICE pie for you? And obviously, it has been impacted in the last 2 years. So is it a challenge, or you take it as an opportunity?
Well, it is an opportunity, but it is also a challenge at the same time. I cannot change the architecture of the hotel, and I do have the infrastructure of a classical MICE hotel. Huge amount of room inventory, well over 700 rooms if I take my residences into account as well. Just to give you this in the perspective, we spent 5 crores in the last couple of months on renovating our ballroom. And we just got the ballroom back 2 weeks ago. So we are confident in the MICE business, in the MICE segment. And I think what is a big game changer for us is the opening of the Juhu World Center. It will not only help us because of the proximity in BKC, but it will help Mumbai as a MICE destination, because we will be able to accommodate very, very large events in Mumbai and strengthen our positioning.
I totally agree with you on this, and we're waiting for that to happen. Pankaj, this one is for you. Being at the Mumbai International Airport is both an opportunity and a challenge from a MICE standpoint. Right or wrong, do the MICE target group corporates give you a miss? If yes or no, what do you have to say?
Thank you, Atul. Great question for Andheri East hyperlocation. I think it's a positive for us. If you have seen, Mumbai and MICE are in alliance. My take on MICE is encouraging international terminal, because to the appetite of ITEC, we can take up the business for sure. As you rightly said, Mumbai airport catering the biggest one, I think the second busiest airport in the country, almost catering to 12 million people in international terminals. So we have a lot of traffic moving to and fro, covering 95 destinations. I would still say hyperlocation 4,500 rooms. If I say Mumbai, 15,000 rooms, adding up 7,000 rooms more, can do prudent MICE all across for sure. Why I say this? 3 big pillars fundamentally. MMRDA, Reliance Geo Convention Center, and NESCO. I think if you see from this location, everything is 20 to 30 minutes drive. From per location, 3.2 lakh to 6 lakh square feet of single fundamental standalone. I think, as Dietmar said, this can give a huge trust and to all the hotels across. I think incentives are not much, but conferences, exhibitions can be a big sign. In fact, if you see, there are already early great signs from banking, pharma, insurance, infrastructure, FMCG. If you see the calendar of 2022 now, there are 64 events lined up in exhibitions. It's just a small number right now, but I think it can grow heavily. If you see booking windows in terms of business on books in many hotels, you'll be happy to know that EMEA, US, Russia, Japan, and China, they are booking. The funnels are opening towards Mumbai, and I think we see these signs. Numbers are low, but it's on. Yes, India has 1%. India ranks 31st in the global meeting market, but I think we have a long way, and we can grow for sure. Ease of travel, ease of transaction, ease of connectivity. Any hotel in this location, 5 to 15 minutes, I think that can accommodate amazingly well intake of business. We too do 2 elements to see this experience meeting and our wedding. So we are trying to capture both the terms for sure. And yes, infrastructure is building up. So I don't see a miss, I see a yes in this overall. Thank you.
Samir, this one, the last question to you, and this is a little different. Is there a loyalty factor to MICE repeats, or all about price, or perhaps a bit of both?
Okay, paucity of time, so I'll make it quick. Bit of both and lot more. it's generally believed that, mice doesn't repeat. I don't think so. I mean, many mice, corporate mice repeats a lot. There are many other factors. Pricing can be one of the factors. What are the different facilities you're offering? That could be the factor. The requirement of the customer, proximity to where the mice is happening, if it's a large mice for the city. These are many factors which play an important role. I have done events which are annual or biannual, wherein the clients have done an event and they book the next event while they're going. They say, keep this space for me, I'll be back, because it works. The comfort of not repeating what you're required, and the offerings you have, and the confidence and the trust what you can deliver to the customer can always help you. So pricing can be a factor to a certain extent, but there are many more factors which help you getting the repeat mice also. Your proximity to the event venue, the facilities you have, the inventory you have, the space you have, how many breakup rooms you can offer, what are the F&B offerings you can do, what are the different things that the customer needs and you can do. Technology, another part which can be played. So many factors play. So these two factors are important, but yes, many more to which can help you with the repeat and loyalty. Loyalty has all of this, which covers the mice which comes back to most of the hotels. So I want to speak more, but since there was a paucity of time, I'll keep it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll also sum up in very short, since we are short of time. So there is a lot of positive sentiment towards this segment of business, and this was the only segment which was missing, which is slowly making it come back because of the confidence of the vaccination, government policies, borders opening up, and India is poised to be a MICE destination, and we're going to double up our numbers in coming 2-3 years, and also take up a ranking in the top 20. At the moment, we're sitting in the 31st ranking in the ICA ranking. So we should targeting towards less than 20, so that this segment thrives. Thank you so much for being there, and thank you, Mr. Khanna, and the complete BW team which made this happen. And thank you for everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you all. At the outset, I think it's been a brilliant discussion. If you're over by 2, 3, 4 minutes, it's well worth it, because this show is going to be watched even after the live is over. And with such content, it's good to take across the country to everybody who's looking for answers. And MICE is a very important part of the business. Having said that, let's put our hands together for some very good moderation by Atul, Bhalla. I'm sure it's...
Thank you.
You've all liked it. Atul, congratulations.